ladies, gentlemen, and others, it is us again with another episode of the Salty Triangle, where we discuss anime and the like. And this time we like to talk about shoujo anime and manga and everything, which is probably something Sheila has a lot of knowledge about, because I'm pretty sure I am not much of a shoujo watcher. Not specifically shoujo anyway. I've seen like a few shows. But before that, before that, even, at least we'd like some highs from the other two. Cause,
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
There we go. We
You
know.
always sound so uninterested when you do these intros.
Sorry?
You sound like you really always sound so uninterested when you do the intro. You always sound like you'd really rather be somewhere else.
I'm trying.
The apathetic podcast.
We give ourselves the wrong name.
I try to just calm myself down because I don't want to stutter and I don't want to make any mistakes while saying any of this.
Oh, come on, mistakes are funny. They give these things life.
I mean,
they make it sound real.
That's true. I stuttered 2 times in the intro, so that's a little bit of life. But I like
it's not so much of the mistakes as in the, you have a very even, tone. Like, It's kind of like, if I were to talk like this and I really wouldn't care what I was talking about, that's kind of how you sound all the time.
It doesn't really help that I'm very tired right now, and
poor baby.
Oh, poor me. The energy has been sapped out of me.
Speedy, tell us why you're so tired.
Because I didn't sleep enough. So I was about to say I have myself to blame entirely on my own state of being right now. That's entirely on me. I slept for 5 hours last night.
Why would you do that?
It was King's Day yesterday in the Netherlands.
I don't know what that is.
It's basically the annual anniversary of our country. So we had a free day. We had family over. We played a bunch of like Mario Kart with friends and family.
Oh, so you partied really hard. I understand.
I mean, I didn't even drink that much, but I just went to bed really late, and that paired with the fact that I had to wake up at 6:30, and I had some trouble getting to sleep. Somehow, I don't know why, because I'm always tired, but I think I fell asleep around 1:45, so yeah. And then there's like physical work during my work all the time, so by the time I'm home, I'm tired, and I have myself to blame. But that shouldn't stop us from discussing anime. And speaking of, have we been watching any lately? There have actually been 2 weeks between now and our previous recording, which is almost unheard of. But it has happened. Have we been watching anything in those 2 weeks? Let's start with Sheila.
Okay, have I been watching anything? Not too much, because well, for one, I got hooked on a game, and the second we started on on the big master film. So that's been eating up most of my mind space.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, we're starting with master film. It's still unreal a little bit. It feels like just yesterday that I started MOPA. Okay, so first thing I watched since last time we talked, Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yes.
The big one.
Yes. Did we even discuss that? Yeah, we did.
No, we did.
Yeah, we did. Well, what is your opinion on it? Because I believe our opinion has
been... My opinion is, I think out of all of the shonen so far, it's like up there with... It definitely deserves the hype. Because the hype that it gets. I remember when Hero Academia first came out, it was like kind of under the radar until season 2 and it really blew up. Really? And like, yeah. Like, Gigok really, yeah. I mean, Gigok was big on it because, he loves shonen, but season 2 was where Hero Academia got really, really big, and I still think that's where it was at its best, at least so far. But, all of the other big shonen that were, super hyped to this day still, partly, Dragon Ball, especially Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, Bleach, you name it. None of them deserves the hype more than Jujutsu Kaisen has it. It's by far the best so far. First season at least. I don't know where it's going from here. I haven't read the manga, but like first season, pretty good. It's pretty good.
I've heard, story-wise, I've heard very good things about the manga of Jujutsu Kaisen, so I'm excited. It has nice animation, though we've had a conversation about this in private, and you said that wasn't really the case, but it just looks very pretty.
It's definitely it definitely is the case. It's very good animation. It's very pretty animation.
Oh.
There are like instances though, at least once per episode. Like it's very prevalent in was it the first or the second episode? I don't even remember.
I believe you said
it was the
after the first 2 episodes you were like, oh, this problem with the keyframes is now gone.
Oh no, it wasn't a keyframe problem. Not at all.
Oh.
Well, it kind of... Okay, I'm going to start from the get-go. So the problem was still there. It just wasn't as prevalent anymore. But to start from the beginning, because Speedy, you didn't know what that meant, and I have a feeling Pory isn't either. Neither are a lot of our listeners, if we have any.
Let's assume we do. Just for the fun of it.
The problem is, at times, and I've actually, watched clip of God of High School and a few other clips that, that specific choreographer and fight animator did. It's floaty. He has a tendency of having, really, really well choreographed fights and really well animated fights, but it does have a problem of being floaty. Floaty? Pory, do you know what floaty means?
No idea.
Yeah,
Not
so
in
floaty
that context,
is... Yeah, there isn't a lot of impact to it, right? It's like when he, if there's a landing and it doesn't feel like there's a weight behind the landing, or there doesn't feel like there's a punch, or there's, a force behind the punch. And that usually comes from things like, let's say let's go with the ball, because, balls are usually, ball animations is where students, first learn about impact and making things look, like they have weight and speed and force to them. If a ball hits the ground, where it hits the ground, the ball becomes flat, right? It flattens when it hits the ground, and it expands when it's in the air at its fastest speed, right? That is called in animation. There are 12 animation principles. That is one of them, and that is called a squash and a stretch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when something has an impact, you need to make it squash. If you don't make it squash enough, it feels like there is no real weight to it. Similarly, you also need to give it a stretch right after the squash or right before the squash, depending on whether it's rising or falling or something is rising or falling, to make it feel like there's speed behind what's happening, right? And so that's kind of missing a little bit, and it's probably not going to be so obvious to the general viewer, because they're just going to be amazed at the awesome choreography. And I'm not gonna lie, the choreography is awesome, and the floatiness actually really works in its favor in those moments when it looks like the characters are suspended in the air, because then it looks like they're really light on their feet, and there's this little moment of anticipation before they go back to the ground or before they hit. But when they actually fall on the ground, or when they actually do hit, or when they actually jump off from somewhere, there's just not enough force behind it. There's just not enough in the squash and the stretch to really make it feel like the character have weight to them. And that is generally called floaty. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not in every fight scene. It's not even in every episode. Actually, no, I do think it was in every episode, but often it was just, 1 or 2 times per episode. But the first 2 episodes, I think it was very prevalent. It was very distracting. Because it's one of the first things you learn in animation school is how to give something weight, right? And then how to give something impact. So, yeah, definitely saw that. Definitely was very, very distracted by that. And sometimes there were, full-on fight scenes where there just was no weight to the impact at all. And it's kind of sad, because everything else about the animation is kind of perfect. It's the only thing, and it's so distracting. I just, yeah.
Season 2 comes out. You'll be watching?
Oh, definitely watching.
Yeah, me too.
Did it deserve to win Anime of the Year?
I don't know. I haven't watched enough anime from 2020 yet.
Okay, well, the only other contender that matters is Eizouken, so you have...
You don't get to decide that, Pory.
Yeah. I mean, from the nominations, definitely. I would agree that Twilight Wind should
What were the nominations?
I don't know, it doesn't matter. They were all bad.
See, you don't get to decide that, Pory. I get to decide mine.
Alright, I'll tell
Okay,
you
for
right
the moment, from the ones that I have... Actually, what are the ones that I've watched? That's a good question. Let me look that up. I think from the ones that I've watched so far, yes, anime of the year, but like, let me double check that.
It's not a super important question.
No, it is. No, it is.
Is it? Is it
vital? It's actually critical to the whole podcast.
Without this question being answered, the podcast is meaningless. So let's move on.
Yeah, I'd say. Wait, no, I'm not done with Jujutsu Kaisen. Because one of the things that absolutely everybody adores and praises to high heaven is the story.
Mm-hmm.
And like the story is probably, at least the execution of the story is probably words at its worst.
Yeah,
because I don't know if anyone has noticed.
I've never heard anyone say that ever.
I don't know if anyone has noticed, but just in the last arc, you know, the exam arc, or the whatever that arc is, you know, the what is supposed to be a tournament arc but not actually a tournament arc.
Mm-hmm.
In that alone are, how many was it? I think 9 different backstories about characters that have had like maybe one scene.
Yeah, that was it was packed to the brim with backstories where I feel like
and then what was the, who the fuck thought it was a good idea to separate the main character in the very first actual full arc from the rest and not have him interact with any of them, except for, you know, that one new character that we don't get to see for the rest of the season. They have given us no time.
That's because he died, right?
I know why he died, why he didn't, but who thought it was a good idea to do that early on?
I mean, the writer, honestly, and the editor, apparently of the manga, apparently agreed, because otherwise he would have changed it.
Not necessarily.
I mean, maybe not.
Well, is it not to have the other classmates be like, you know, have some motivation, because otherwise they're just students?
Well, the problem with it, like, it's not a bad idea in general, but it's a bad idea this early on, because, you know, the classmates are supposed to be grieving, and it's supposed to be like this big, you know, surprise that was, you know, inevitably subverted, because of course it has been, which, oh my god, that was such an awkward mess. You know, the entire reveal of him being alive. I
feel like because we hadn't spent enough time with both characters, the reveal that he was alive after all was gonna be weird either way.
Yeah, they barely spent any time together.
Yeah.
There's no time to build up any dynamics, no time to get to know them together, no time, like, honestly, like, I did not buy the fact that they cared about each other.
I mean, they didn't. They showed
They were trying to show us that this was a hard blow to them.
I mean, they were sad, but neither were crying or They used it as a motivation. Be like, okay, well, we have to get strong because we can't let this happen again. I feel like if you were in a team where you put your life on the line, and in the first week or two, one of your teammates dies, your emotional attachment is not going to be very big on the person, but the fact that someone on your team died is going to have some impact on you. And I feel like they did that well enough. But from a narrative perspective, doing this so soon, it felt like, I mean, as a viewer as well, I wasn't attached enough to the main character enough to like even really care about his death. And
there was so much happening. They were introducing so many things to us, one after another. The first 2 episodes were fine, right? Until they started explaining the magic, because it's anime, so of course they have to explain the magic in words instead of, you know, just showing us. Exposition in anime is such a horrendous topic.
Yeah, I agree.
But like in general, you know, like, give us time, first of all, to get to know the main character, and then to get to know, you know, like, the main group. Like, take Naruto as an example. Naruto introduced a shit ton of characters at once, right? But they were all just there in the background. Our focus for the first, like, for the introduction, and then for the first 2 big arcs, which was, you know, the first exam, and then later on the entire thing with Zabuza. That was, 20 or something episodes, in which we focused just on the main trio and the teacher, Kakashi, with, you know, a villain thrown in there. And, like, that gives us more than enough time to like learn, for them to build a dynamic, to learn about the dynamic, for us to not just learn and care about the main character or the different characters, but for us to learn and care about them as a group and their dynamic with each other. And Jujutsu Kaisen doesn't have any of that.
I feel like when the author realized he was going to introduce that many new characters in such a short amount of time, it's like, okay, but how am I going to all set them apart as individuals? And evidently, the idea he came to was, I'm just going to show as many backstories as possible, so that's the way that the viewer knows them to be different, instead of...
And that is the worst possible way to do it, especially in the middle. Like, there was not a single backstory that was put on the right time. There was no timing in there whatsoever. They were just thrown into the middle of the fight and completely and utterly halting the flow of the story.
Yeah, and I feel like if you're going to have a tournament arc, having almost none of the characters be familiar to the viewer, except for like one appearance for some of them before then, is just way too soon. I mean,
it was a mess. It was a complete and utter mess.
I feel like
the problem was the mess was executed, like the execution of that. I have a feeling like I'm gonna correct myself on what I said earlier, because I said that the execution of the story was a mess. Actually, no, I'm not going to excuse that. The execution of the story is a mess, right? The order in which things are, how they are introduced is fine. The ideas behind them is fine, but the way it was all created, the way it was all done, all put together, the way the particular story, the particular beats of the story were executed, was a complete mess. But the problem is, wait, okay, you know what? Scratch all of that. I have to think about what I'm going to say exactly. Because the actual execution was good enough that, it's still really, really impressive.
Yeah.
But all of the beats in there are a mess. The amount of beats, the amount of the amount of story, the amount of characters, the things that are thrown into it are such a mess. But the execution of it all was just good enough that, it somehow managed to sort itself out and keep viewers in there. It's
like on a math exam, you use the wrong formula but still arrive at the right answer. I think that's what happened. Like
kind of like Code Geass.
he kind of messed it all up on how it should have been done, but he managed to stick the ending still, so it came out all right.
I mean, it didn't for me really. That entire second arc was just.
It had some moments. The whole Black Flash one was pretty cool. It had moments.
It had moments. That's the best way to put it. It did have moments.
And I just hope that we are not introduced with, like, for the next few arcs, we're not introduced with another set of new characters, while we still have all of these characters who have barely had any time to show what they are capable of and who they are. And just let them rot, because we need more screen time with them. The whole idea of okay, we've shown backstories should imply that we then get to see what those characters get to do and how they grow from those backstories and how they develop their own character. And if we get new characters,
honestly, with that many characters introduced at once, in order for us to get to know all of them really well,
I mean,
it's not one arc. It's not enough. They would need like 2 whole seasons.
Yeah, and I mean that's why I think that the whole idea of introducing them all at once right now in a tournament arc is the wrong play. They should have been introduced in different arcs coming up to this, and then have a tournament arc where some of them get to shine, get to fight each other, while the viewer is invested in some or all of them because they know each character. I feel like using the tournament arc as a way to introduce this many characters was just not a. I mean,
tournament arcs are always there to introduce a whole bunch of new characters, right?
But like
but by that time we
all of the characters,
like
all of the characters, literally all of them, all of the characters were still being introduced. I feel when the tournament arc start. I think like episode
In the
12.
second half.
Yeah, episode
Yeah,
12 or
12,
13 or
something along
something.
those lines.
We only barely just started to get to know our main four if you count Gojo. And all of the other characters had either had 1 or 2 scenes or none at all.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just...
I mean, if you think about it, but I don't understand how they got that so wrong, because tournament arcs are one of the things that Shonen does best.
Yeah, like
they literally just have to copy what all of the others did.
If you think about how, I mean, My Hero Academia did it in
My Hero Academia did it so well.
Second season, right?
So well.
Or first season?
Okay, but the first season was 13 episodes, right?
Yes.
But the difference is that all of My Hero Academia, in the entirety of the first, 2, 3, and I think in the entire arc, which was, the entire first arc, mini arc. Let's say the first few arcs are mini arcs, right? So the first few episodes,
the exams,
are Deku. Yeah, no, not with we're not getting to the exams yet. You know what? Yeah, okay, you're right. Let's count the exams. Was the only people really introduced, were Deku, All Might, Bakugo, and Uraraka, right? Uraraka and Deku were both kind of there, but not really important, and we focus on getting to know Deku and All Might, right? For the entirety of the first arc. The first half of that, maybe the first third, right? So let's say 12 character divided by 3 is 4 episodes. The first 4 episodes. So
didn't the first episode... Oh, I mean, the first episode immediately start with the exam, right? Or
no.
Am I Oh, no, wait! It starts with him meeting All Might, right? And then the third or fourth episode
it ends with him. It ends with him meeting All Might.
Because there's like the sludge monster.
Yeah, the sludge monster.
So we have an entire episode. We have an entire episode just to get to know Deku, right? Bakugo is there, but he's just kind of a bully. We don't know if he's everybody at that point thought he was going to be a Sasuke character, which was honestly like the most brilliant expectation subversions. He starts off as a Sasuke character and becomes like one of the best. So the entire first episode is just there, for Deku, which Jujutsu Kaisen also did, which Naruto also did. Which, what other big shonen do we have? Bleach also did, right? And they end with, the big thing of, them meeting the second big character, which, Naruto actually did not do that, but, that's fine, because it was all Naruto.
Uraraka, I think.
No. All Might was the second one.
At
the end of the first episode in My Hero Academia, he meets All Might. Like, not end, but, like, towards the end. And, that's when he has to talk with him, and it's like, you're not... Actually, you know what? I think I'm wrong. It was not towards the end, it was the second half. He meets All Might, finds out that, he's never going to be a hero until, he does this thing where he says Bakugo, and All Might is like, you know what? You have the guts for it, I'm gonna make you a hero. Jujutsu Kaisen does that too. So the first episode, just in terms of introduction and pacing, was really good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the few episodes after that, I think the one episode after that is Deku training to be a hero, and Bakugo just somewhere in the background, right? Which, is fine, because now we have a full second episode of getting to know Deku and All Might and their relationship, and because, that's going to be a big topic throughout the entire show, so that's kind of important. Jujutsu Kaisen's second episode... What was Jujutsu Kaisen's second episode? I'm not sure. Do you remember?
The first episode finishes. They're on like the school roof. Was episode 2 when he was like started locked in that room and full of talismans, and then the dude?
Yeah, because I think the first episode ends with him eating the finger, and then. Like, it ends on a cliffhanger, like, oh, what happens now? Or he just changes.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, he changes, and like, there's a cliffhanger. Oh, he changed. But then, next episode, you start to find out that he didn't change, or something around that. Like, those events around.
Okay, so second episode
Gojo.
Means then that means that we're introduced to the show. To the school, right? To the setting where everything takes place in.
Gojo, and then the school,
Yeah, which is also fine. 3 characters in 2 episodes, that's fine. My Hero Academia kept it at 2 characters, and one just kind of in the background, being, mopey, because he just got saved by the one person he doesn't want to get saved by, but yeah, okay, fine. So, Jujutsu Kaisen is off to a really strong start. Then third episode. In the third episode, Deku takes the entrance exam, and we get introduced to Uraraka, but she's not really explored. She's just kind of there. Bakugo is also just kind of there. All Might is also just kind of there. Okay, we're all good. Jujutsu Kaisen does the same thing with introducing the girl of the group. So at that point, we have our group of 4 on the one side.
Was it that
in
episode
Jujutsu
4?
Kaisen, and our was it episode? No, was it episode 4?
He had a fight.
Nope, episode 3.
Didn't
we
he
get
have
introduced to the girl in episode 3.
Didn't he have a fight with the director of the?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
that's also
3.
episode 2.
No, I don't think so.
No,
the fight happens in episode 2. Because episode 3 is literally called Girl of Steel.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
well, that's a good argument. That's okay.
That's a very good argument. I don't think that fits any other any other character at that point.
I mean, the headmaster could be a girl. Who knows?
Who knows?
No, he's
maybe it's
yeah. Okay, so the first 3 episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen are perfectly fine, but even then I already had one gripe with it, which is that they were both like, yeah, let's split up. Why do you do this? Why do you do this? You have 2 characters whose entire point is that we're supposed to learn the dynamics, and they're like, yeah, no, we're not working together. We're both going our separate ways.
The offer obviously was like, I need to have her be put in a difficult situation, show that she's maybe not ready for this, then have her be saved, so that there's a dynamic there.
But the entire point of the episode was that to show that she is ready, and then she gets saved by the dude. And they split up. And there's... Oh, God.
Well, I think the entire episode was to show that she wasn't ready.
No, the entire point was to show that she was ready, because that's what the guy says in the end. I want to see if she's as crazy as the rest of us, and the last line that he says is, yep, she's crazy, all right.
Yeah, that's true. I remember that, actually.
So, yeah.
But doesn't he say that when she does... When she does where she stabs herself to stab the monster when he jumps out of the building?
Come again?
He says that after she uses her ability that where she stabs herself to stab the monster, right?
I'm not entirely certain when no, he says that. I don't think he knows what happened inside.
No.
He just says that when the monster flies out the window because she managed to make him fly out the window at some point.
No. So the monster tried to escape, but there was still a part left of it on the ground, and then she used the voodoo magic to stab herself with her nail, but pinning that leftover part against herself as well. So she stabs herself, and in reaction to that, Gojo is like, oh yeah, so she's crazy enough to pass for
to be one of us.
Yeah. So I guess that means she passes, but
and we see her backstory in that very first episode. They introduce every character with oh my god, why?
Yeah, introduction by backstory is maybe not the best way to go about every single character.
Especially not in the middle of a fight. You do not do a backstory in the middle of a fight. That's writing 101.
The best way to do a backstory is to do it at an emotional moment.
No, not even then. Wait, My Hero Academia has a really, really good, does backstories really, really well. They do backstories then when they become relevant to the actual story. It doesn't have to be in the middle of an emotion. For example, Todoroki's backstory was shown before... or just in between the two, in between the beginning of the exam and when the tournament starts, because he has this inkling that that Deku may be his All Might's son, or forbidden love child, or whatever he says. That was such a hilarious moment too, and is like, hey, listen, I know you have a connection with All Might. I have one too, so I'm gonna lay my cards on the table, and I want you to lay yours on the table. And that's when he reveals his backstory. Uraraka's backstory was revealed in the middle of a conversation where they all talk about, hey, why do you want to become a hero, right? Because in that moment, it was important. And, all of this is done exactly then First of all, when it's relevant to the characters, and second of all, when it's relevant to what is about to happen. The tournament fight would have never been the same if Deku had not known Todoroki's past. So it was important to reveal Todoroki's past before the fight starts.
That's true, yeah.
You do not do it, not even it doesn't have to be in an emotional moment. It has to fit with the story, it has to be relevant to the story, and it has to be in a moment where it makes sense to put it flow-wise. Like, for example, when the characters are having a conversation.
You're absolutely...
Jujutsu Kaisen does none of that.
Yeah. But I do think we need to move on from Jujutsu Kaisen. It's been half an hour.
I could keep talking about it. There are just so many problems in the writing.
We can just keep talking about it and forget about shoujo altogether. It's
Never mind.
One or the other. One or the
anything.
other. Do you have anything?
I didn't say anything. We're going back to shoujo.
Abby, do you have any? No, we're not going back to shoujo just yet.
Oh,
do you have any other things you've watched?
Second season of Kaguya-sama Love is War, which was almost the same thing as season 1, but not quite, because the characters actually forgot that they're in a war and are like just both are too fucking shy to say anything. They're not even being tsundere anymore. They're just being idiots now, which, you know, cute. I watched Weathering with You, which is the Makoto Shinkai movie. Yeah, the Makoto Shinkai movie from 2011. It was impossible to get your hands on for like 2 whole years, but finally did.
Worth it?
Definitely worth it. I mean, it's not Your Name. It doesn't hit quite as hard as Your Name. It doesn't have quite that same magic as Your Name, but goodness, it's just as beautiful. And the last time I've seen such pretty rainy weather is what's it called? Gintama, because like rainy days are hard to do. And then Pory, I started Monogatari second season. I'm not done with that yet.
And it's really good, isn't it?
No, it's not.
No, that's just a bad take.
We'll focus on that a little more when she's finished it by the next time we record. What about you, Pory? This new season, of course, but you weren't all that happy about most of the shows.
Yeah, my media saturation is like overflowing at this point. It's really, really hard to watch. It's like 5 weeks into the season, and I still haven't watched everything. It's just like really tough. Because there are so many shows that I want to like so much, but they're just not good.
That's how I feel in general with anime right now too.
And even nothing really that jumps.
No,
out.
there's some stuff that's like okay, like the Godzilla show is pretty fun, but doesn't really make sense.
Isn't it like Godzilla in a nutshell?
Exactly. Like Odd Taxi is like cool. It's a good idea. Basically, it's like a zootopia kind of thing where we're all demi-humans or whatever. And it's set in this just city. So the thing that's nice about it is, random characters will interact with each other like just kind of spontaneously, because when you walk through a town, you will meet random people, right?
Yeah.
And all the characters in it are like super, like emotionally dull. So everyone's just kind of grumpy all the time when they're talking.
That doesn't sound fun. That doesn't
no,
sound fun.
it's very funny because everyone's just fucking pissed off. And there's like a bigger narrative in the background, but to be honest, that's not really the point. You're just kind of watching it for the random interactions between characters. Yeah, and there's a bunch of cute boy shows that are good, like Bakuten and
the detective one.
Yeah, Pretty Boy Detective Club. But they're just like cute boy shows that are good. Yeah, other than that, it's like whatever.
Mm-hmm. And then we've also watched this Monday the first 6 episodes of Trigun.
No spoilers. I haven't watched that yet.
Well, I won't spoil, but
there's not really anything to spoil anyway.
There's not really much to spoil. It's just I feel like everyone, we were watching with like 5 people. Everyone was disappointed in the first 6 episodes.
Isn't it like a Lone Wanderer story?
It's like Cowboy Bebop, but not as good. It is just as episodic. It has the same it has the same rule of cool vibe. So like what really matters is not that there's like 15,000 bullets being shot and no one is actually being hit. It's just that it is cool with bullets flying around, and every story tries to tell a fun, sometimes emotional story in every single episode, centered around in which the main characters play a role, usually a central role, with every single episode also featuring a bunch of new characters.
Yeah, that's the very typical lone wanderer setup.
Yeah.
You know, East Clintwood, and what was it called? Yojimbo.
For one, where Cowboy Bebop has, well, one very good characters, and also Spike is actually cool. Like he's silly sometimes, but he's actually cool. Whereas the main character in Trigun, Vash, is just I can't see him as anything but cool. He's just not cool.
I don't think. Was he meant to be cool? Is he like?
If you watch the opening, he's definitely portrayed as cool. All the cards in between the show, like when there's like an ad break on TV and like they show those cards, he's shown as being really cool. But then in the show itself, he's just a pervy, a kind of a pervy idiot.
Have you ever seen City Hunter, Sheila?
No.
Okay. So I was gonna say, he's like the main character in City Hunter, but
it's like he only sometimes alludes to him being more than a silly idiot, but then the moment he does, he's just an entirely different character altogether.
Yeah, and it makes it more stupid. It makes it more like even because it's like whiplash. It's like 1 second
somehow,
he's this.
Like the way that you described that sounds like it's on purpose though.
Yeah,
I mean it's on purpose.
It's obviously intentional, but it doesn't stop it from being really dumb.
Kind of like everything going on in the Monogatari series.
Why did you have to just smash on that?
Yeah, you were so mean.
Because I can. Yeah, I know. You finally get it. You finally gets it.
No, I was really disappointed because I've been told that Trigun is like one of those shows, the big 90s classics that you have to have watched before you died. Everyone's praising to heaven that I know about. And then it's really a weak showing, the first 6 episodes. Though I've skimmed over some reviews, and they're like, yeah, there's like 3 parts to it, and each part is like a little different, and it gets better. So who knows? Maybe it gets better. It has 26. It has 26 episodes, but unless it entirely gets rid of and the very weak character writing, the very narrative plots that each episode has, it's not going to change. Maybe the overarching plot is really good. Like there's obviously the main character has some backstory going on that is really important, but it's just no. I'm not no. That's how you say. I'm not invested in any of the main characters at all. Like none of them are interesting.
Yeah, the best
we'll
character.
Get back to that once we finish it, I guess.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
And before that, I finished Paranoia Agent, which was also a disappointment. The first 6 episodes, last time we talked, I had just watched the first 6 episodes of Paranoia Agent. I've had some time to reflect on the last 7 episodes that I've watched last week. I feel like it would have been a lot better as a movie, because the middle part of Paranoia Agent stretches on way too long with, like, there's a bunch of I feel like the the one who made this. What was the one? That was like a really famous
Satoshi
guy.
Kon.
Yeah, Satoshi Kon. He had a lot of ideas surrounding this one, the central idea of the show, and all of these different ideas were individual stories per episode that again use this central theme of the skater boy that deals that hits people when they're traumatized or whatever. I'm selling it really short here, but they tried to use that theme to push in a self-contained story, when really, as a watcher of the show, you're really just hoping and waiting for a narrative conclusion that's just being postponed, and the more it is, the more you're just losing interest in what's happening altogether.
I mean, I think that's because there isn't really like a solution. That's kind of the whole point. Like the police officer. Okay, the spoilers.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
Sheila,
please, no
Yeah.
spoilers. I haven't watched it yet.
Okay, how do I explain this without spoilers? That's really tough.
I feel like the ending was nice. I feel like if they had focused on much fewer characters, and they had focused on the main problem at hand, like so to speak, and they had set it up, maybe one or two individual stories that eventually like somehow coincide with the main plot, and then have it end or the way it did in the show, with the few good moments peppered into the middle of the show, you could have had a much better movie than the show was.
Okay, Speedy, have you seen Hurry?
I have, but it's
Okay,
been a long while.
Okay, you know Endless 8?
No, I haven't seen the
Yes.
second season.
Okay.
Oh, and let's
So-
read.
So the whole
I'm probably the only person in the world who actually likes the
No, I
Endless
like-
8 episodes.
when I rewatched Haruhi, I really liked Endless 8. It was really good. Like it's kind of got the same strategy, I guess, the same idea, where you're supposed to get you're supposed to feel it dragging on. And you're supposed to feel getting uncomfortable and being repetitive and boring.
Uncomfortable.
That's the whole point. That's like. Now I agree that it doesn't make it very entertaining to watch some of the time. That's true, but the effect is that you need to be like in the same place that you're kind of being just kind of quashed. You just don't feel very pleasant.
No, it's not.
You don't have to like it, but you cannot deny that it's good at what it does.
Well, there was only one episode that made me quashed and uncomfortable in those middle episodes, and that was the one. Well, I'm not going to say too much, but the suicide people, basically. That was the one. That was the one that was just so uncomfortable to watch. But the rest were just boring, really. Just the same. It was just going to connect to the same thing. You knew it was. And at a certain point, you figured out, okay, this is how the rest of the episode is going to go. Please don't, but I'm pretty sure it's going to anyway. And you just start losing interest altogether. I just can't help but look at my phone instead of at the screen, because it's just not interesting. It just doesn't progress the story at all. It just tries to play around with the same idea in a different way every single episode, while not progressing the story at all. And
that's because there's nowhere for that's because
it had
the
an end,
characters
though.
themselves. Yeah, it does have an end, but that's because there's this kind of
there is a narrative conclusion to it all.
Yeah, there is this, but that's because there's this big kind of paradigm shift amongst the whole cast, and they're able to solve the problem. But each character themselves, they do not have the tools to solve the problem. So it being slow, and every character is going through the same kind of struggle to burst through the problem, right?
The at a certain point, from the moment the police officer gets assaulted, right? Those episodes afterwards, the episodes afterwards.
I've seen it. I don't know who he's talking about, so clearly it's not.
The episodes afterwards feature characters from episode 8 to episode 11. Feature characters that never return. Just never. It's just padding, and a director trying to play around with his fun ID in different ways.
Yeah, I agree that the show does. Conan is kind of just like he is just kind of making a brainchild. I think that is true.
He very much liked the one central theme of the whole thing, and like, what can I all do with this? I feel like it would have worked much better as a movie. I think it would have been a lot more fun.
I do think that the fact that there's a panty and stocking episode, which is basically the whole show.
You say that sometime, it would work better as a movie. Oh my god.
Yeah, because if it had been, it would mean that a lot of the unnecessary stuff would have been cut out of it. Like, this is... I don't usually say this, as I've said in previous episodes.
Maybe as multiple movies, but I think there's too much to cut.
Maybe, but then... Maybe 2 or 3 movies. Maybe 2 movies.
How long is the show?
13 episodes.
That is 2 movies. Well,
I mean, depends on how long the movie is.
It's almost 2 movies.
Yeah, it's like
13
episodes. 5 hours,
13 episodes is like, yeah. So I would say 1 movie.
I don't know.
I would say 1 movie.
Because
maybe a long movie, like one long movie.
The first 3 episodes, I don't think you can cut because.
No, you can't. No, the first.
And then the part where they like.
The first 7.
The Showa era, you can't cut that.
No, the Showa era is all the way at the end. Like, I think the first 6 episodes are important enough, though the one like the panty and stocking episode probably not. Yes, is important, but not that long. Like, not 20 minutes of that. That's just unnecessarily long. So like, you can cut that out for like most of it. Just get the idea across that, like, okay, yeah, this is like it's playing in his head, or it's imagination, but not for 20 minutes long. That's just stretching it way too long. And then I think somewhere around episode 7. I mean, maybe episode 7 was still important, but episode 8 to 11 weren't really necessary because there were no new characters introduced that mattered to the end of the plot at all. They never returned. And then
don't we meet the old lady in that one?
The
one who can't. I think maybe she's blind. She can't walk, something like that.
Yeah, but not in a major way. Like not being a major part of the whole episode, I believe. And anyway, you can just introduce that character quite well, and then use the end of the show as the ending of the thing, while you still keep that introduction of the old lady important. Like, you build on to that.
All I'm saying is, if you could revive Satoshi Kon and say, Paranoid Agent is really boring, he would go yes. So
because that was the point.
I think that was the point.
I mean, I was invested in the first 6 episodes, so like that wasn't boring to me. Maybe I mean, except for the panty stocking episode, but the rest was.
I don't think you understand what I mean when I say that.
No, I don't.
Okay, because so the one criticism I have, and the one reason that I think you could be right, is that the show Panty and Stocking have an episode which is 20 minutes, and it's basically the entire show has the same point, but is 20 minutes long. So that's like the only and I think you should watch that episode because it is like the insane. It's like it has the same point, but it's
which episode is that? Which episode is that?
I'll have to DM you afterwards. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, in the video editing, we can just put it on screen, like it's episode this and that. But I believe we should definitely move on from Paranoia Agent, and from that we can also move on to what we actually want to talk about, which is shoujo anime. Yay! I believe the first question I should ask is, how many shoujo anime do we watch, or have we watched? Pory.
I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head.
Like maybe 1 or 2 or 3.
I mean more than that for sure. A sizable amount.
Girls show do not count. They're more geared towards guys than they are towards girls.
Okay, well, you know what? I doesn't count those anyway. So take that.
I feel like the most prominent ones I've watched are God, the names are already I don't remember much. There is Yona of the Dawn. I think that counts as shoujo.
Yes.
Definitely.
I mean, officially it's shoujo, but it really goes more into the josei territory. It's kind of like what Attack on Titan is for shonen. Katsuki no Yona, especially in like later arcs that are sadly not animated, is for shoujo.
There's there's another one really that got like a 2019 edition. And then
Fruits Basket?
And then the second season was like really badly animated. Yeah, Fruits Basket. Yeah, that one.
That's how you remember it.
That's because
that's how I remember it too.
That's what Sheila told me. Like the second season was really bad.
The first season is just as badly animated.
Yeah,
like it's very pretty looking. The colors are very pretty, but the animation.
I think it's just that the second season's more boring, so it's more noticeable.
I don't think it's more boring.
No, I think it definitely is. I was losing my mind.
Why? Why?
The reason why I noticed in the second season is because I was in the middle of my intensive course of animation. In fourth year we have we start our specializations, which are either image or animation, and we have a 3-month intensive course on that. And I was in the middle of that, and I started noticing all of these like tiny little things that I can never unsee, and I hate it because it's really getting really difficult for me to enjoy anime, and Fruits Basket was the first victim of that.
Well, why? Yeah, no. Looking at my manga, there's very few shoujo titles on the here that I can see. Orange is one that I have, but I haven't even finished that first volume. It's more like an omnibus volume, really. I think it's like the first 3 together. Is Tsubasa Chronicles shoujo?
No, Tsubasa Chronicles is the only clam show that counts as shonen, but it's really fucking good, and everybody should read Tsubasa Chronicles.
Yes,
I watch it, but mostly read it because sadly enough, the animation like never got completely finished. There are a lot of things that were cut out of Shunaraiki, which is the last set of OVAs.
I remember watching the red hair,
Snow White.
I love that show. That show's
I
dropped that. I dropped that after a few episodes.
Bad opinion.
I agree. Bad opinion. Why? Why did you drop it?
I mean, there wasn't much going on. Like at a certain, I felt like this is me saying things about a past me of which I have very few memories, really. So I'm going off of feelings that I think I remember. But I feel like after a few episodes, the deal was done between the two main characters. They might as well have been together already. There was nothing else to be gained.
They kind of were together.
Yeah, there was nothing else to be gained from the story from that point on. I felt like everything else after that was just useless. And I was kind of
I think
bored.
That was kind of the point, though. It was just like a feel-good, cute show of, people being happy with one another.
Well...
And it has cute boys in it.
But
there's
I think the girls in that show are cuter.
I don't know. The dude who's like the assassin or whatever? That guy's...
The one with the headband? The one with the headband?
I know, there's so many Obi fans out there, and I just don't get it.
He does have a headband.
It escapes me.
Yeah. Oh, that is like the one character beside the main character, two main characters that I remember, and I remember him for being the hottest guy of the bunch. Like any of the characters that I like. Okay. If we're going visually alone, you deserve her, but you're never actually going to end up with her because there's already a main character here that's going to be like the main interest. He was born into the wrong show apparently.
Yeah, like I said, he's very, very very beloved, but I don't quite get it. No, he's not my type.
He's kind of the silent contemplative type.
Yeah, the strong silent type.
Yeah, the strong silent type, but sometimes I like those. I think I like those. I usually like those, actually.
Sometimes it depends.
I mean, there's the guy.
Sheila's more into the loud, weak types.
No, she's in the loud, strong types.
Exactly, I'm into the loud, strong types.
She's said this before. She likes the kind of men who are both loud and arrogant, but can back themselves up.
Yeah, they have good reasons for their attitude. They're confident in their skill because they have the skill, and they're not afraid to show off the skill.
Bakugo, Gojo, who else? Accelerator.
Nishinoya.
Oh,
And three of
psychopath.
them
Okay.
Yes, psychopaths.
Okay, I understand.
I think they're more sociopaths than psychopaths.
And
yeah.
And one of the guys from Durarara.
Oh yeah. Well, both of them actually.
Izaya.
Shit, what was his name? Izaya and what was the other? Shit, what was his name? The blonde guy.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Izai is the only one.
Yeah.
But the blonde, Shizuo.
Yeah.
Shizuo and Izaya, both of them. They're both they.
That's a controversial opinion, having both. I don't think you're allowed to do that.
No, I'm having both. Okay, I'm making myself at harem.
That's a very self-destructive harem.
I don't give a shit. I'm a selfish person.
You heard it here first, boys. Yeah, you very much have a type, which is I imagine you see more in anime than in real life.
Yes.
Really? Oh, maybe.
I mean, there's a lot of arrogant people here.
Boys in real life tend to be very. I don't know. Most guys that I know, at least in real life, tend to be more on the quiet side.
Yeah, they need to be more arrogant. I agree.
But then, if they're arrogant, they also need to be able to back themselves up. And most of the arrogant guys I know is like,
they can't.
the moment it actually matters. Yeah,
Right, you're absolutely right.
So, that's basically what I've what I can remember about the shoujo stuff that I've watched. What about
You've never watched
I did not hear that.
Kami-sama Kiss?
Oh yes, I
Maid-sama?
have actually. Both. Kami-sama Kiss. Actually dropped because it kept going about the same thing, like will they, won't they, forever. This is. Suddenly there's like all of these shows that I've watched that I just start remembering. What else did you say? Kami-sama Kiss and
Maid-sama?
Maid-sama I finished, but that was during my tsundere phase, so I blame it on being a tsundere.
Maid-sama is like probably one of the, if not the most famous, most beloved shoujo, and I don't like Maid-sama. I do not like Maid-sama.
There is one other that I remember. I'm not sure how much I've watched. I think I nearly finished it. Sorry.
No, he did not. He did not. Did you watch Oran High School Host Club?
Yes, I have. Oh, that's actually a good show. Oh, I love.
Oh, it is.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I dropped that when I was 13. I should definitely watch it.
What the fuck did you drop Oran High School Host Club for?
I was 13, and I was like, I don't want to watch
give
boys.
A shit. You watch Oran High School Host Club.
I should. You're right. I should watch it.
Get up
like from someone. No, it was about this girl who's like who somehow is always scary, and then there's like
Kimi ni Todoke.
Yeah, I watched that. That was really cute, but even then, at a certain point, it just felt samey. Like there's 2 seasons of that, and it's just like a will they, won't they, and like all the time.
Doesn't need the second season. Yeah.
All the time, they nearly get there, but then they don't. And there's always some kind of way to subvert.
Yeah. So the last arc of Kimi ni Todoke, where what was the main character's name? The not the Sawako, the guy main character. Something with Kazekaya.
Doesn't matter. Main guy.
Yeah. Kazehaya. Kazehaya is what it was called. So the main guy was well, it was all about like the main guy's insecurity coming from out of nowhere. That one was kind of bullshit. Like, they could have cut that entire arc and I would have been fine with it. But everything coming before kind of made sense to me because it was all about, Sawako kind of needing to get a hang of herself first before she can, like, even start thinking about romance. It's the first time, the entirety of the first arc, she kind of pines after Kazehaya without knowing that she does. But most of the first arc is,
really
her learning to deal with friendship.
Yeah.
First arc was about friendship.
Oh, and another one I remember, one that I started the manga of and that I've never really watched the anime of when it came out, 3D Girl, which I really liked.
Is that a shoujo?
Oh, that show's bad. Yeah, that's bad.
It starts out fun. It had some moments in between, but I think the anime kind of dropped the ball, especially with the animation.
Oh, the anime is definitely bad. Okay, the manga might be good, but the anime is definitely not good.
I mean, the manga doesn't really have anything much going for it either, but at least the pictures aren't moving badly. So like, they're stationary and the art is passable enough that you can focus on the story instead of everything else. But I feel like anything about the characters, like the guy being insecure, what I really liked about Free the Girl was the girl itself, and then later on when the few other characters actually become a group of friends that start interacting with each other and that I think they start trying to support each other in some ways, to try to start to understand one another, even though they're all very different from one another. Like one is like a popular guy who's only in there because one of the girl he's interested in is friends with the main girl, and like there's connections that bring these vastly different characters together, and they somehow through connections and because of the main couple usually, but basically they have to start interacting with each other. It's been a long while since I've read it, so it could be really bad for all I know, but I enjoyed it when I read it.
Okay, I have no idea what it is, so yeah, I'll just take your word for it.
Basically, there's like a nerd and there's a delinquent, and they get together.
Okay, that seems very like something that happens a lot in shoujo anime. Have you watched Skip Beat at all, or read Skip Beat?
Nope. No.
Yeah, if you don't like slow burn, will they, won't they? So you're not going to enjoy Skip Beat because it has been going on for 25 years and they are still not together.
Oh, fuck off! How is he? Is that allowed? No, that's illegal.
A little.
That's illegal.
It'll be really funny if they were like 45 and that was still doing it.
I mean, to be fair, in the manga's defense, there's a whole bunch of shit happening in the background, right? There are a lot of characters, all of them with their separate lives, and there's always, there's always like stuff happening, stuff advancing, right? Even if they don't get together, there's always things that are advancing. And there's actually not that much time spent on the romance, even though it's definitely a big aspect of it, because most of the show or the manga is about the acting career of the main character, and her past and all of that confronts, and she gets typecast as this she got like her first big role as that amazing villainess, and she like did it so well because despite the she actually has some really really good talent for acting, but she does mostly method acting. Actually no, she does method acting sometimes. She finds it in like the one role that gave her big breakthrough, and she was so ridiculously good at it that now she's typecast as a villain type of character, and she wants to be a princess type of character. And her acting career is it's like Act Age but better, and probably a bit more realistic. Because
and
she's not a stupidly good talent.
I was gonna make that.
Yeah, and the author is not a creep.
I chose not to do it.
And that.
I was gonna be like,
she's not
in prison.
But there's also a huge age difference because the girl is still 16, and I think the guy is like in his mid-20s or even late 20s or something, and is like this really cool established actors, and they just look like they're years apart. So same kind of problem there.
If the author of Skip Beat has any balls, they'll just go with they won't be together at the very end. They'll just end it like that.
I could see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
After
there's much
years.
more time spent. Yeah, there's much more time spent on the acting career of the main girl and just her life in general. Because the main guy is a big actor himself, so you don't actually see much of him because he's just so above her league. He's kind of like a mentor character at first, but he's like one of the most, if not the most wanted actor, so he's constantly on the run and, constantly doing shit. So you don't actually see too much of him, and she doesn't get a lot of chances to interact with him, and that's one of the reasons why the romance takes so long. But goodness gracious, man, it's been 25 fucking years. Holy shit.
Wait.
No, actually, I don't think it's been 25. It's been like 10 years or something, which is still way too long.
Where is the shoujo tag? Okay, let me do shoujo and then josei just to be, just for the fun of it. Okay, apply filters. Let's see what I've actually, okay, yeah. Huh, just made some Oran High School Cup and Fruits Basket.
Really?
Yeah, not a lot. Not
That's
a lot.
crazy.
Ore Monogatari, have you seen that one at all?
Sorry?
Ore Monogatari?
No, I do have that on my list to watch at some point in the future, but not a
So
top, not a
you're
top
saying
priority.
you'll never watch it?
No, it has a possibility of being watched for real. It's just not
Okay.
not my priority. Banana Fish
So
is
the one-
is said as being shoujo.
Yeah, I believe that,
that is
because,
true.
pretty boys. I haven't watched Banana Fish yet.
But it's gay, so.
It's very gay.
See?
Okay, the one that you absolutely have to watch at some point in your life, that not enough people talk about, but it's so fucking good, is Lovely Complex.
I've seen the first episode of that, and
And it's fucking hilarious, and
I
don't you dare
don't-
tell me otherwise.
I don't remember anything of it. I think I watched it in at that time where I was like, oh, I'll just watch one episode of 20 shows in one sitting, and I'll see what I remember most and watch those.
Yeah,
And
watch Lovely Complex,
yeah.
man. It's really good.
That's actually pretty high up on my list. So there's a good chance
Giddy.
I might just watch that in the coming 2 to 3 years. There's also Nana. Nana is very well known.
Yes, I haven't watched that yet, but God, I've heard so many good things about
I've
it. But
heard a
yeah,
lot of
just
good
like
things
for you,
about
it's definitely on my watch list. Card Captor! I keep pushing that one. I keep pushing it. I keep pushing it.
It's a kid show. What can I say? It's not only is it shoujo, it's also a kid show. So like there's.
But it's different from I don't know if you can really call it like.
I've seen the first episode, truth be told, but also in the same way that I've seen the first episode of Lovely Complex.
Because like Cardcaptor Sakura is a kid show, but it's not just a kid show, I guess. It's more nuanced than this. It's Clamp. Everything that Clamp does is nuanced.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the thing.
Wait, is the other Clamp show that I've seen?
Kobato?
No, not Kobato.
The little
Chobits?
girl.
Yeah, Chobits.
Chobits.
Yeah, is that shoujo?
Chobits. I think so.
That was fine, I guess. I think that was fine.
Yeah, Chobits is fine. That's a good way to put it.
You know, the greatest romance anime of all time, Karakano, is also a shoujo show.
Oh, Karekano is great.
And
Also, I did really want to see like the dark side of the boy be explored a little more.
The what?
They hint at this, like of the main lead having a bit of a more messed up side to it, and I kind of wanted that.
It pains me
explored a
every
little more.
day. It pains me every day that we're never gonna get like. Apparently, the manga is like not good, so
Aw.
it pains me that I will just never see because like this guy, he's like my favorite character other than
He is
Ray
so
from
interesting.
Sangatsu.
They're both,
He's my
they're
favorite
both so
character in anime.
interesting. I
Yeah,
know,
he's
right?
like-
They're both so interesting. Every character in that show is interesting. God, they're so well written.
So
Yeah, I have this crazy visual right now where I'm scrolling through the Mal list, and next to Karakano is Utena, which is like a crazy brainchild show, one of the highlights of the 90s, and the next to it is DN Angel. Like, it just reminds me that shoujo is just not a genre. It's just like it's just
I mean,
advice. It's not a genre.
I can kind of see why. I mean,
Yeah, but-
it's as much a show genre as shonen is, as in it's not really a genre.
Yeah, it's just
It's
just like
yeah,
advice.
It's not even an advice. It's a how did you call it? They're called milieus in
Demographic.
French and in German. Demographic, right?
Yeah, it's just that really annoys me.
yeah.
But the thing is, the reason why we're talking about this, and the reason I'm so happy we're talking about this, is because almost automatically, anything that is made for women, and especially anything that is made for, especially everything that is made for teenage girls, is immediately dismissed as something. Oh, it's just for girls. And I think honestly, that's one of the reasons why everybody talks about shonen so much, and like barely anyone talks about shoujo unless there's this one standout standout show like Fruits Basket, and I think that's a shame because like as we have just put together, there's a lot of like really really good stuff in there. If only people would put aside their notions of but it's for girls.
I feel like
it's made for girls.
I feel like the bigger problem here is that online weeb culture and weeb culture in general is very male focused, when it really shouldn't be nearly as much as it is.
No. I think that the online weeb culture is very male focused, not because most of the people online, most of the weebs online are male, but because most of the big voices online are male. You have Mother's Basement, you have Giguk, you have the Anime Man, you have Connor, and like how many like really big female anitubers are there?
I mean, I can think of Sitsnap and Akidearest. Mostly
yes, but you know
through
them
their
because
connection.
they are
Yeah,
girlfriends.
exactly. Through their connection too. There's Emily Pichu or Emirichu or what's her name?
Emiri. But she's not really known as or not so much. I think she's more known for her art and her like Disney princess personality rather than as an anituber, I think.
I'm not sure. I mean, there's
Isn't that the girl that looks
Digi.
Patrona?
There's Digi, I think.
That's
but
what?
Digi is.
Yeah. I mean, she doesn't really make anime content anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. And now this is going to be very bad of me, but the pedantic romantic was trans, but I don't remember which way. If that's very crudely said.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
What was she? A woman or man? I don't know anymore. What is she?
I think they're non-binary. I'm not sure.
Or non-binary. That's also possible. Either way.
And even then, like, okay, I know this is going to sound awful, but like, I'm not entirely certain in how far that counts because trans people, as much as they are the gender that they identify as, also fall into the trans community as much as they fall into their actual gender community and have very different experiences than somebody who, let's say, grew up as a woman or has been a woman their entire life and has therefore been free to, have their or follow and indulge in their, respective and in the things made for their respective demographics.
Just like, for example,
the experiences that you live are very different as a trans woman or man.
Just as much as, for example, a gay man or a gay woman will experience their career as a figurehead of the anime community much differently than a straight man or a straight woman in the same way.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're going to look out for different things. They're going to like different things. They're going to want different things. The typical, one thing that is very common for the shoujo genre, especially in manga, that I'm not really that much of a fan of, is, the very typical, super typical, everything just revolves around the love life of the main girl. Anything that does that and doesn't, like, give anything outside of that kind of bores me, and that sucks because there's a lot of it in shoujo. But, a trans woman might not find that very interesting because, like, that's not something necessarily probably that she can relate to. Because she's not a quote-unquote normal girl who has had, normal girl experiences.
Bold statements only here.
Well, she certainly hasn't had any, like, normal, or she certainly hasn't had... She has certainly had different experiences that normal girls don't have. And so that makes relating to, normal girls who don't go through her issues and who don't go through her problems and, all of that probably less relatable. I know that's the thing that I struggle with, having, being biracial. I can't really, it's difficult to relate to, experiences that are 100% white or to experiences that are 100% black. There are some black experiences I identify with, some white experience that I identify with. But, I also can't, like, relate as well to a character of either race, because they haven't had experiences that I've had that have shaped me and that have made me the person that I am today. And my guess is that a transgender character or non-binary character or anything in between, like anything on the gender spectrum that is not, straight up, male or female, is probably going to have the same issue. I can imagine them having the same issue.
And that's why there's so little representation for them in particular, because no, that's the other way around. No, whatever. That's I don't know where I was going with that. But what we mean is we need more female voices, as prominent female voices in the anime community.
Yep, we do. But it's also like really difficult for women to get big, because anyone who with the internet is very, very toxic to women and just kind of stomp over them and ignore them. Or if they do get big enough, I don't know, have you heard about the entire deal with Lindsay Ellis?
I feel like I've seen some good and some bad things about.
She got cancelled on Twitter basically, and there's a lot of shit to unpack there. Whenever
she the one who made the statement that all Asian shows are the same thing?
No, she made a statement that Raya and the Last Dragon reminds her a lot, has a lot of beats and is a lot like Avatar: The Last Airbender, and that a lot of YA novels take inspiration from it, obviously.
Oh, and people extrapolated it.
And people lost their shit because what you just said was exactly what they read into it.
Okay.
That everything Asian is exactly like Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is never what she said, never even what she implied. But hey, she dared to say something not 100% positive about an Asian movie. The same thing, by the way, that others, especially the guys from what are they called? Honest Trailers, did the exact same fucking joke, and nobody gave a shit. It was when she did it that she got cancelled over it. I wonder why.
It's Twitter.
I think that's just a symptom of Twitter, to be honest.
It is a symptom of Twitter, but like I said, it's it is a symptom of Twitter, yes, but in general, women are not treated very well on the internet. They get torn down and torn apart and ignored. In general, it's a bit harder for them to get big. And if they are big, there are and sometimes even if they're not big, they are so much, they have such a harder time, navigating through the internet, because if it's not just straight up, kill yourself comments, it's a lot of sexism. It's a lot of sexual innuendos. It's a lot of, being called slut and whore, and then being told that, you'd want to have that some random stranger on the internet wants the shit fucked out of you to begin with. In the same comment. And then I wonder why women stay away from the internet or, don't do content.
There's also the fact that making friends on the internet as a woman is a lot more difficult, especially when it's men, because a lot of men you don't know which one has ulterior motives making friends with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially as big content creators.
That's gonna be the thing with every YouTuber, but women have to be extra careful because there's always the idea of are they going to violate you? That's in there. That's a very legitimate fear. Every single time you dare to make contact with someone, or are they going to slut shame you the very moment you say no to sex? Or even are they going to come to you or find out where you live and kill them the very moment you say no to sex? That is very much a legitimate fear that every woman, and especially every woman on the internet, has.
Right. I agree with everything, but
that makes it very hard for female content creators, especially in the anime community, where there are a lot of people who think of themselves as alpha males and are really just incels
I mean,
hang about.
the whole idea
Well,
of
only
alpha.
only incels use alpha male as a word, so that makes sense.
Alpha. I feel like scientists. And this is gonna be like one of those. Yeah, scientists said this, but
No, this is okay. Whatever you want to say.
I believe the whole idea that there's like distinctions between alpha males and beta males just doesn't exist. It
doesn't exist. Okay.
Yeah, scientifically proven to just not be a thing. It's just
evolutionary like psychology and relationships is just like nonsense. It's really dumb.
I mean, it's not necessarily nonsense, but what we as a general think.
It has no like utility in the world.
Yeah, I mean, and I think we've said this before, like in one of the test episodes. But what people fall in love with is, or like one of the big factors for falling in love is actually the scent of another person.
Mm-hmm.
And what we pick up in the scent is completely unconscious. We don't know we're doing it, but what we pick up in the scent is a string of DNA that is very much opposite to our own. I think, if I remember correctly, it's the immune system, the string of DNA that defines the immune system, as opposite to our own, so that our offspring would then be, would have a stronger, healthier immune system. And that's what we fall in love with. But that has literally nothing to do with, alpha males or what we look for in a person on a conscious level, or even like the way we try to present ourselves and all of that. It's that's absolute nonsense.
Here's an idea for all the self-proclaimed alpha males out there. Maybe get out of your house and try to smell for a change.
Okay, Speedy, you have absolutely no right to say that.
Wow, I think.
I never mentioned myself being an alpha male, so.
Yeah, but you don't get out of the house.
Yes, Speedy's more of a sigma male, so.
I do get out of the house. I do get out of the house only because I work.
Sheila, sigma males are equal or above alpha males, but they do not exist within the dating hierarchy. Did you not? Come on.
There's
no,
like
I did not actually know that.
There's like there's so much more. There is so much more than to just alpha and betas. It's just they've created a whole. Yeah, they've used the entire Greek alphabet for this system.
Yeah,
I mean, I know about the AOB fandom and community, but
We'll see if I can pull up what this is exactly, because it's okay. Here's the the 6 male personalities: alpha vs beta vs gamma vs omega vs delta vs sigma. The alpha male, he is confident, he is outgoing, he is a leader, he is charismatic. The beta male, he is friendly, he is reserved, he is submissive and loyal. The gamma male is adventurous, eager, aware, and pathetic. The omega male is self-assured, driven, intelligent, and has diversified interests. The delta male is resigned, resentful, self-sabotaging, and lonely. And the sigma male is cunning, self-confident, likable, calculated.
That also sounds like my type of guy. Yeah, I don't know, man.
This sounds like me.
I don't know, that sounds pretty based, actually. Maybe I did so.
Who decided this? Who decided this?
A brain trust, that's who. Some Mensa members, I think.
Jesus Christ. Oh, man.
Okay, back to
Shojo. We've gone
anime.
Yeah. I was going to talk about how many incel vibes anime gives off, to be honest. But you can go back if you want.
I mean, no, how many incel vibes anime gives off?
Yeah,
and I completely agree.
A lot. Every isekai ever made is basically an incel anime.
There's just so much shit that main characters do that authors write in clearly meant to just be seen as normal or funny. Like, I remember one moment that I still remembered being like, this is supposed to be funny. Everything about this tells me that the author thinks this is funny, but it's just creepy. It was in Darling in the Franxx, so we are already off to a great start. And I feel like it's like either the first or the second episode. It's when
where the old dude slaps the butt of that one lady.
Yeah. So it's like the scientist, right? The scientist meets that woman for the first time, and he just grabs her butt. He throughout the rest of the show, he is shown to be nothing like a pervert whatsoever, right? But still, he does that. There is no other reason why he would do that, except to make it funny. Somehow that's funny to some people. Sexual harassment.
No, Speedy, it's a commentary on our society. Okay.
Oh, that bullshit doesn't fly.
I honestly don't know what to I remember that scene, and even now, like weeks later, I don't know what to think about it. Like, I don't know why it was in there, what it was supposed to be, what it was supposed to say. Like, there's so many possibilities, and it didn't really so many possibilities on how this is supposed to be read, but none of them reads 100% for certain.
Yeah. In any case,
that's how I read it. Smart about it. I mean, Anna is pretty smart about it too, because like they have like the classic, especially in romance shows, the classic stereotype is like women just want money and stuff. Every romance show has a character like this now. Watching seasonals, every show has this character in it, and it drives me insane because it's just like, I know what your point is. Like, can you just not do that? Thank you. Just be more open. Like, if you're gonna be like, at least with that, like slapping her ass, at least she's being, at least they're, not pulling any punches. Stop trying to dog whistle to me. It's really annoying.
Can we just agree on the fact that anime isn't good?
It's really bad. It's actually just unwatchable.
No, it's unwatchable.
Anime in general is kind of bad. There are a few standout shows like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, but on average, it's very, very bad.
If you take anime as a whole and looked at it like, okay, as a whole, should we say it's bad or good? Bad.
I would go so far as to say it's a net deficit to society.
That's how bad it is. I agree. I would agree with that.
I agree. Because there is so much bullshit laden all everywhere. Whatever era, whatever genre you look, it's all just really terrible. Except there's like a few out of there that are just genuinely good. And because of those really good shows, and because of some shows that have created hype, there is now a following that religiously watches every single show that exists, just so they can. Just so they can.
This picture, and I do not like it.
Just so they can say that they've watched it, and it's all built on a few good shows and a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
And I feel like even then, when we talk about like the actual good shows, more often than not, it's the female authors that have written the manga of the shows. Like Fullmetal Alchemist, for example, is my favorite anime. It's written by a female author.
Let's see. I'm just going to go through like the top anime real quick. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
I think Karakana was written by a woman.
I think so, yeah. Fruits Basket, naturally. Okay, Attack on Titan was written by a man. Jujutsu Kaisen was written by a man. Demon Slayer. Wasn't Demon Slayer written by a woman?
I think it is.
Promised Neverland is written by a man and drawn by a woman? Or the other way around?
Silent Voice, I think, was written by a woman.
Magi is written by a woman.
Mm-hmm. Hunter x Hunter is not. Haikyuu is not. Mob Psycho is written by a man. Steins;Gate, I think, is written by a team of people, if I remember correctly. Natsume, I haven't watched any of Natsume, but I think that's also written by a woman, isn't it?
What about Noragami? Is Noragami by a man or a woman?
Fuck, I have no fucking clue, man.
Noragami author. Adachi Toka.
That doesn't tell me shit.
No, that doesn't tell me anything either.
Although Toka, I think, is more of a woman's name.
It's a woman.
It's a single word.
It's a woman. It's a woman, yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, there we go.
That's all she's written. So
most of the good stuff is actually written by women. Probably because women actually have to be good, but women have to be the best at what they do in order to even be recognized, for the work to even be recognized.
True.
I mean, yeah. Also, Girls Last Tour. Girls Last Tour is one of my all-time favorite shows. written by a woman. I feel like...
And then the fun thing is there are so many good shonen written by women, but probably I don't think there's a single good shoujo written by a man. What does that tell you?
That's I wonder if that's true, but I feel like that's true. I feel like that's true, but I'm not sure.
I mean, I can't think of any. I cannot think of a single good shoujo written by a guy.
Give me like
except Banana Fish. I think Banana Fish was written by a guy.
It's just, I feel like too as well. All right, if I know that a show is created by a woman, or a woman is deeply involved in the writing process of the show, I can be almost safe assured there is like no sexist bullshit going on.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but the chances
in different ways.
The chances of there being overtly sexist stuff, or just straight up male perverts being let loose and doing whatever they want.
Yeah, that's very true.
Is much lower. Like there's one where it's like Deers. Believe Deers was written by a.
I haven't watched Deers.
Don't. It's absolutely it's horrible.
Okay.
And the message of the show too is very, very sexist, and it was written by like a team of 3 women. But...
Yeah, I mean Clamp are absolutely my queens, right? I love everything that they throw out so far. Some more than others, but I love them all, right? And like that's a group of, I think originally it was a group of 5 women, and now I think they're only 2. I'm not entirely certain, but they make amazing work. I love what they do.
So yes, it looks like we'd also not only need women as prominent members of the anime community, we need women in the anime itself and making stuff. That's the message that we want to bring across here. Something that we didn't think we would do, or maybe we did, but it is definitely what we're saying now.
Yeah. Adding to that is that, like, the women are always the writers. How many, like, female anime directors do you know? Or have you even heard of before?
The K-On! One, what's her name? Naoto?
Did she direct it or did she write it?
She directed it. Yamada Naoko.
Are we talking about just anime or also manga? Because
manga are writers.
Yeah, you don't.
No. I mean, not the. I said previously, just now, like the Promised Neverland was drawn by a woman and written by a man. Does that count?
I am talking about directors.
Directors. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair.
Yeah, Yamada Naoko.
What did she do?
K-On! Silent Voice.
Oh, she directed a silent voice? That's kind of cool. Yeah, okay, but that's the studio. What was this studio called?
Kyoto?
Kyoto Animation doesn't count, okay? They're like...
Kyoto Animation
they're
is
very
like,
different. Yeah.
Like the one
they're
studio...
in any way, shape, or form.
The one studio where the ratio of men to women employees is like...
And like the one ratio
huge...
where the people are actually paid well.
Yeah, that too. And they still turn out amazing shit because somehow paying your employees well will make them work really well.
Hey, UFO Table also pay their employees well. They just evade their taxes. Okay.
Because that makes shit so much better.
Exactly. Glad we agree.
Can we talk about like some actual amazing shoujos and why they are so amazing? Because I feel like even if we say that, or even if we talk about the way that we do, I don't think we've actually gotten to the point of why shoujo can be so good or how it can be so good on actual examples.
So if you wanted to use one shoujo as an example to easily show why it's so good, which one?
Oh fuck!
We need to focus
because it's
it's like.
What about Fruits Basket?
We've all seen. Are good for different reasons.
We've all seen Fruits Basket, right? So, leaving the animation aside.
I don't know if that's my beacon of.
No, it's not. I mean what else have we all seen?
Speedy, that's really not a fair question to ask because it all depends
it's such a
on
broad umbrella.
What are you looking for?
Well, I don't know. You were the one who wanted to highlight what makes shoujo so good, or shoujo so good.
But there are so many different reasons and so many different examples, and you cannot just pick one of them. It's like saying, pick one shonen. That just doesn't work because there are going to be different shonen for different people, different types of shonen for different people.
Okay, well then I'll just leave the question of how to explain why different shoujo are good to you with the shows that you like. Go ahead. I don't know how to introduce it.
Honestly, I think that's probably what I would say first. Is it's so good because it doesn't really mean anything, so it could be anything.
Yeah, it's like I said, that's a demographic, right?
Yeah.
And like the same, like how do I put this? The same people are looking for one show with romance, one show with drama, one show for coming of age, one show with fantasy, and one show with, I don't know, with history, right? And they're going to enjoy all of them. And some are only going to enjoy specific things, but there is a definite difference if something is tailored for women's rather than, tailored for men, or tailored for boys rather than tailored for girls. So, in terms of like just drama and raw emotion, I don't think like I think Fruit Basket kind of makes a case for itself. In terms of history or like history/fantasy, we have Yona of the Dawn, which is very heavily inspired by Korea. In terms of comedy, we have Horror in High School Host Club.
Yeah, that was probably what I would have said. Is like the
I would actually go like
the leading example.
It is my favorite shoujo by far.
One that is really good.
You literally said you saw 3 of them, so I don't know how.
Yeah.
I mean,
Horror
it's still
in High School
correct.
Host Club is really fucking good. That's true. But I don't know if I would call it the best.
I mean, I think Karikano's the best.
It's definitely the best
that's nothing to do with being a
comedy
shoujo.
one. But also Karikano is like the best for drama, I would say, with some added comedy in there, or just best romance because it's mostly about romance.
It's my favorite. I think it's like I mean I don't watch a lot of romance media, but it's my favorite romance media. Like that's I like it a lot.
One that is like one of my favorites is one that I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about it is Kodocha or Kodomo no Omocha. I haven't watched the anime. I don't know what it is yet.
That is a very big cult following for sure.
But that's the problem. It's a cult following.
You've talked my ears off about that one.
But it's so good, goddammit! It's like the best coming of age thing ever, anything that I've ever seen in like any media ever.
Yeah, I agree. From what I've read, I agree.
Kodocha is just like really, really good. So for anyone who doesn't know, Kodocha is about this child star called Sana, who like the boys in her class have like completely taken over. They're terrorizing the girls, they're terrorizing the people, and they're all led by this one guy. What was his name?
Main guy.
Hayama. That was his name. His name was Hayama. So, all led by this guy called Hayama, right? So she's like, I have to rein him in. Manages actually to blackmail him, and like that reels him in. And then because of that, they get involved, and she finds out about his terrible home life. And the rest of it is, like their story, like the both of them in the focus, growing up. It's not necessarily like there is a definite romance in there. They get together fairly early on for like 90s. Was it made in the 90s? I think it was made in the 90s. Yeah, but it's mostly about, like them growing up, them hitting puberty, them starting to think, like then starting to understand the world, starting to understand love, having relationship problems, not just in between themselves, but, with like all of the people around them, things changing, things evolving, it's like anything that has to do with coming of age. And as a coming of age story, it is just so good. Oh my god, it's so good. I cannot even begin to tell you how good it is.
And it's written by a woman.
And of course it's written by a woman.
It's pretty short too. It's like 10 volumes.
Really? Only? I no wonder. Like last time I reread it in the night, and I was like, I did not remember it being this short, but it's so good. God damn it!
The original run went from 1996 to 1998.
Yeah, isn't like 100 or something episodes, but it never finished. I think the anime, which is sad. And I don't know how good the adaptation is. I never saw it. I just read the manga to it, and God, the manga is glorious.
Oh hey, the main lead in the dub is voiced by Laura Bailey. Huh.
Oh yeah, I did know about that one.
Yeah, I did tell you, I think.
As for fantasy / magical girl, I mean, if you're gonna go into shoujo and talk about fantasy, it's going to be mainly magical girls. Because there are a lot of magical girls.
That's
in anime.
that's a special kind of shoujo, isn't it? It's like a whole
Yeah.
different kind of genre.
Yeah,
That
kind
is
of like-
actually that
it's
actually is a genre.
It's a subgenre.
Yeah,
it's a subgenre.
I mean,
I would
subgenre
say.
implies that subgenre implies that shoujo is a genre.
Yeah, it's not a subgenre. It is a genre.
Yeah, okay, you're right. It's a genre. Mostly because, especially since Madoka Magica, there are a lot of magical girl show that aren't actually shoujo.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like ever since magical Madoka Magica, there is two types of shoujo. There's the traditional type, and then there is the type that tries to be. It's like can I just copy your homework, but like I'll do it a little differently. Like
I don't even think that's true, because I think since Madoka Magica, really the only anime that have been the only magical girl anime that have been coming out that are actually still for girls is the Pretty Cure series, and
yeah,
that's
it's literally just Precure, and then other kid shows.
I mean, there's a
And
lot
that's
of dark
really, really
magical
sad.
girl. There's a lot of dark magical girl
Yeah,
shows
because
that
that's
came
like-
out since,
that's-
but they're not shoujo, nor. But they kind of miss the essence of Madoka Magica. They just want to make an edgy show with the front of something cute, and they use magical girl show for
Which
that.
is really sad, because like magical girl is it's like it's peak shoujo for me. The magical girl shows.
I feel like,
like, okay,
I mean,
but
Sailor
those
Moon is
shows
the
that-
biggest shoujo ever, I think.
Oh yeah, by far.
Yeah, that's like
And
cheating.
like, I don't know, I didn't like the anime too much, but like I've read the manga, and holy crap, like first of all, it's good. Second of all, it's like it's another one of these like coming of age things, right? Like Sailor Moon, not Sailor Moon, magical girls in general are almost always connected with coming of age in one way or another. But it's like it's surprisingly mature. Like it goes into some places where you wouldn't think that even some josei would go to.
And like, for how big Sailor Moon is, you rarely actually hear it talked about as being a hugely influential show. Like, for example, I don't know, Fist of the Northern Star is no Dragon Ball Z, especially for shonen.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z is constantly seen as the grandfather of shonen. It's constantly talked about in the anime community, whereas Sailor Moon, yes, it is being talked about, but not nearly in the same way. Like, no one's
when
called.
when was the last time you have heard any of the anitubers that I mentioned before even say the name Sailor Moon?
I mean, I don't have your memory, so I wouldn't be able to tell for sure.
Give me your best guess.
Never. I've never heard them say it.
That seems unlikely.
No.
That sounds like yeah. That sounds
I mean,
like
unlikely, but not that I can remember. And I'm
Hugo
only
Cat
going
said it. I think has talked about it a little bit when
maybe in passing.
the readaptation for Sailor Moon came out. I know he mentioned it somewhere. I'm not sure where.
Possibly. But like it's unlike, for example, Dragon Ball Z being the grandfather of shonen. You never hear people say Sailor Moon is the grandmother of shoujo, even though I think it is.
I mean that's not even true. That would be oh shit, what's that one Takahashi show called? The one with the girl that wears like the tiger stripe bikini.
Oh.
Yeah,
oh God.
That would be the grandmother
Yatsura.
of that would be the grandmother of magical girls, and people do talk about that.
Okay,
Quite a bit, actually.
But still in niche circles, I barely see it. Only some YouTubers show clips of it now and then, but it's. I hear more people talk about Sailor Moon, even little as it is, than that show. I've only seen that show up like once or twice.
I think that more, at least anitubers talk more about Urusei Yatsura than Sailor Moon, but Sailor Moon has a bigger presence in the community somehow.
I feel like
everyone watched it when they were young.
Sailor Moon happened, and the first adaptation happened in that one time in like the 90s when anime was starting to get popular, and so it kind of just rode the coattails of that as well. Maybe.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that I've heard all of the anitubers that I know talk about Urusei Yatsura at least once, like not just in passing mention, but actually explaining it. Whereas I don't think I've heard anyone say that about Sailor Moon. Mentioned here or there because it's just that big, but It's kind of weird how Sailor Moon has such a presence. Everybody knows about it. It's somehow it's always there, despite the fact that no one ever talks about it or even mentions it. It still somehow always manages to be in there somehow.
Oh shit! There's a lot of episodes of Urusai Yatsuro.
I believe that.
Yeah, it's a Takashi show.
What does that mean? Oh, that's the same one that lit like Ranma.
Inuyasha,
Yeah.
Ranma, Mermaid
Mason
Forest.
Ikoku. There's another
Rumiko
one as well.
Takahashi.
How many episodes does it have? 195. Big.
Yeah. Then we
Big
have
hit.
things such as Full Moon, which is like when it comes to just pure, tragedy, you can't get better, not much better than Full Moon. Like, okay, maybe Your Lie in April. Is Your Lie in April a Would you count that as a shoujo?
I think no. I would rather count that as a seinen, because it very much is focused on the male lead and his troubles.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think the
Yeah, but
same
Full
goes
Moon
for
is-
like I think the same goes for Sangatsu. Like it's not
Yeah.
really
Yeah, I
shoujo,
believe
it's also seinen.
Yeah, Full Moon is similarly as tragic, but it's a shoujo. And oh my god, it's so good. Like Full Moon is so good, guys.
Full Moon.
Full Moon wo sagashite.
Well,
Full Moon wo
yeah,
sagashite.
I found it.
It's really good.
2002, 2003, 52
Yeah, that sounds about
episodes
right.
by Studio Dean.
It was airing when I was born. That's crazy.
Age transformation tag. Showbiz, work life.
Yeah, it's another one of
illness.
those. It's an idol show when idol shows were still good.
Shugo Chara is also the one, right? Is that shoujo?
Kata is very known, but I'm not entirely certain how good it is. It definitely has it has an aspect of learning to find and understand yourself that I haven't really seen anywhere else. Because each of the different little mascot characters are all different parts. Not so much different parts of her personality, but they're all things like the main character's personality, actual personality, versus the personality she wants to have, versus the personality that she could be, versus the personality that she actually is, like, deep inside, versus the personality that she shows herself. She has all of these. All of these are like different aspects of her, and the entire show is. I mean, yes, there's definitely a coming of age thing in there, like there is with most magical girls, but it's really more of learning to understand yourself and finding yourself thing, which again I haven't really seen anywhere else, especially not in shoujo.
I feel like I remember this being the first show that I remember you bringing up to me as you.
Yeah, because I was watching it at the time.
Yeah, you were. I mean, I wouldn't say you were completely crazy about it, but it was definitely the biggest show that you were watching.
Yeah.
You said about how fantasy is basically going to be magical girl. I'm looking
a lot of them, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Vision of Escaflowne, which is
yes,
amazing.
Escaflowne.
Which is amazing.
Yes. Escaflowne has everything. It's like, it's isekai, it's mecha, it's magical girl, it's literal angels, it's just everything.
Yeah, it's really good.
Escaflowne is so good.
And mecha, apparently. There's mecha in there.
Yes,
too.
that's what I just said.
So Speedy won't like it, so I'm lucky.
Yeah, I won't like
Fuck you, Speedy.
Yeah.
There is Usagi drop down right. Aishiteru baby. Which also not a lot enough people talk about. Nobody talks about Aishiteru baby.
Aishiteru. Yeah, Aishiteru baby. I mean, Usagi drop was pretty cute.
Yes, but the problem with the Usagi drop manga, you know where it goes, right?
Just don't read the manga. Don't read the manga.
Aishiteru baby stays as wholesome. It stays that wholesome. It doesn't go in that direction.
There's also Sweetness
That's
and
why
Lightning,
I'm saying
right? That came after that.
I don't know if that counts.
That's not a shoujo. I wouldn't count that as a shoujo. That's more
Usagi,
of a...
Is Bunny Drop a shoujo? Bunny Drop isn't a shoujo either.
No, but Aishiteru baby is. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Okay.
Hey, this was
Content
also coming
warning:
out while I was
bullying,
on tour.
emotional abuse, major themes, physical abuse, domestic abuse. That doesn't
Yep,
sound
it's all in
very
there.
wholesome.
Oh, it's super wholesome, but it does go into dark places, but it's still really wholesome. Oh god, let me think. I'm starting to run out of anime I've actually seen. I mean, Cardcaptor Sakura. Can we please talk about Cardcaptor Sakura for a while?
You have the lead here. You're the one that's most versed in shoujo. So
Yes, so Cardcaptor Sakura. Cardcaptor Sakura is
what
amazing.
What makes it so special for you?
So first of all, it is a magical girls show, right? But first of all, there are no transformations. Point number one. It's actually really hilarious because like Cardcaptor Sakura, like this character Sakura herself wears like a different outfit every single time because her best friend Tomoyo is like so obsessed with making costumes for Sakura and filming her in action wearing her costumes. So the costume design is just like off the charts. I don't think a single outfit except for the school uniforms was used twice in the entire show. Which, you know, how many times do you see that? Let's be real here. One thing that it does really, really well that I don't think any other show ever has done that well. At least no anime has ever done that well. Is it presents a very adult world and very adult issues through the eyes of a child, right? You have all of these things going on in the background that are, you know, definitely very heavy topics that Sakura herself, being like a fourth grader, doesn't quite understand yet, that she's trying to wrap her head around but can't yet because she just does not have the maturity and the experience to do so. And what really makes the show special is the characters and the relationships that they form. It's a story all about relationships with some fun magic thrown in there. Now, I'm always a sucker for magic, almost always. But the reason why I love Cardcaptor Sakura so much is because there are so many different types of relationships, so many different types of love, and every single relationship, every single character dynamic has layers over layers over layers. It's and really that's what the show is about, you know. It's about different people having different relationships with one another and trying to navigate through them and, you know, learning to navigate through them. Which I know sounds very boring, but it's honestly not, because there's not a single character in there that isn't compelling. And the beautiful thing is, that might be a spoiler. If you want to hear it, I'm not sure.
I mean, if you want me to watch it, not spoiling it goes hand in hand.
Okay, fine, I won't spoil it then. But yeah, so like that's really like the main draw of the series is, you know, like the people and the relationships that they have with each other. And what I really love, especially now looking back on it, is the detail that was put into everybody's life, right? You often have characters that, you know, have one aspect to them that's like really well developed. Give me a show. Any anime.
Sword Art Online.
Oh. I went for something good. You went for something terrible.
Yeah, so something halfway decent. Sangatsu doesn't count because I haven't. Okay, Sangatsu, I've only seen the first season, so I'm only going to judge.
Oh, you need to watch the second season.
I know, damn it! I will at some point. I don't know when, but I will.
Fine. Bleach.
Bleach. Okay, so the thing about Bleach is, Ichigo is very well developed in his Shinigami, right? He's very well developed in terms of his feeling towards his family and friends. And he is like, but, you know, things that aren't developed is, for example, his home life, right? He has a super typical home life. Mm-hmm. So typical that, you know, there's nothing unique about it, except that he lives next to a hospital. He has his dad, and his sisters. They, as people, are, you know, very well, like, him and his relationship with them are very well dynamic, and theirs very unique. But you know how every household, for example, has their own little quirks to them?
Yep.
Yeah. You don't really see that in anime much. Every household kind of looks the same. In Cardcaptor Sakura, it doesn't. Every household has their own little quirks. Like Sakura's, for example, they have this whiteboard up where, you know, everybody like writes down their schedule, like when are they there and when are they not, and also, because they are home or not home, what chores do they have? As an example, right? It's a fun little quirk that they would have because it is that household. Or take hobbies. Like, to this very day, I don't even really know what type of hobbies Ichigo has outside of, what does he like? What does he enjoy? Outside of, fighting and protecting his family and hanging out with friends.
I might have been able to give some answer to this if I knew.
No, there is no answer to this. He's never been given one. We know that Karin likes soccer, for example, right? That's a hobby that she has. But it's really the only hobby she has. It's the only thing she does. People don't work like that, right? People have like multiple things that they like, multiple things that interest them, multiple things that they're good at. Cardcaptor Sakura dwells into every single one of this, every single character has their own likes and dislikes. They have their own, like lives outside of the story. And you don't often see that life, but it's always hinted at. With even like the smallest characters, it's hinted at, these are the things that they spend their time with when they're not, busy chasing down another card. And so that's one thing that I really, really like about Cardcaptor Sakura is how developed every single person, every single world, every single household. There's so much attention to detail in every aspect of the show. And it feels so alive and so, unique and different for it. It almost feels more American in that matter because, or actually I would say European rather than American, because one of the very common concepts or one of the very common things to do when learning to write, whether it's, books or for a show, is that you need to know your characters. You need to know them inside out. You need to know every goddamn aspect of it. You need to know what their favorite breakfast is on a Saturday morning. That's how well you need to know their people. And it feels like in most anime they just don't. And in Cardcaptor Sakura they do. It feels like you could ask the creators Clamp any question, no matter how random, about any character in Cardcaptor Sakura, and they would have an answer. And it shows.
I still feel like I'd just be watching a kid show, but I'm probably doing it a huge disservice.
You know what, Speedy? You would be watching a kid show, okay?
I mean, it is a kid show, but it's also more than a kid show, I would say. Because the adult aspects of the world, watching this as an adult, you get it. Watching as a child, you see it through Sakura's eyes, and you're like, okay, you have that same feeling of wonder and confusion and just kind of like taking things at face value. And then you grow up, or you watch it as an adult, and you understand all of these nuances. But you also kind of understand, Sakura being too young to really get any of it, because there are a lot of things happening in the show that are definitely not for children. Because there are many characters in the show that are not children.
I mean, I might eventually give it a try. That's all I can promise. It's also that I'm trying to think whether this is actually true. But children as the main protagonists in don't usually... Is that true?
Don't usually what?
I usually don't like children as having. Okay. I'm not sure if that's true. I mean, there's Erased.
How many have you watched with children?
Yeah, isn't Conan a child?
Sorry?
Well, not really. Conan is technically speaking 17.
Oh, but he's 3 feet tall. Okay.
I mean, his problem is not having characters look like children. His problem is children behaving like children.
Exactly. I don't like children going through problems that I just cannot relate to.
Okay, Speedy, but if a child acted like an adult, would that not bother you?
That also bothers me.
So what you're saying is, if there's a child doesn't make character,
there's no win.
There's no
it's not a win. There's a lose. It's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, I mean, unless the rest of the show is good enough for me to just kind of ignore the child being much more adult than they should be. Like, for example, in Erased, where all the children are way too smart and don't actually are like children.
You know, children are actually fucking smart. They just can't articulate anything.
Yeah,
Children are actually really smart.
Yeah,
but they
are.
definitely do articulate all of the stuff in Erased.
Okay,
so.
but I think that's just more of a narrative crux, so you understand what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. But like,
but also like none of the kids in like all of the kids in, at least I find in Cardcaptor Sakura are, none of them are obnoxious. They never behave obnoxious. They never have like, you know, petty obnoxious squabbles.
I mean,
except for maybe Shouran, but Shouran has like very good reasons for it that you delve into later in the show.
I feel like what I said is actually not true, because I can think of a bunch of child characters that I genuinely liked. For example, the main child of Barakamon was very bratty in an endearing way.
I hated her. I really did not like her.
There is the child in Sangatsu. Was just
she's cute the whole time.
She's
just
a
cute. Baby. That doesn't count. She's almost more of a baby than a child.
I mean, I'm mostly naming characters that aren't main characters here. There's I had another one in my mind, but I forgot again.
Have you seen Kakushigoto?
No, I haven't. There was another one that I thought of, but I already forgot. Oh yeah, Usagi Drop.
Usagi Drop. Yep. But you really, those are like just all like kids being cute, like unrealistically so. Unrealistically cute and perfect.
I know they're unrealistically cute. They're not annoying.
They're not children.
They're they're not annoying hellspawns like actual children are.
Have you seen Mitsuboshi Colors?
No.
God, you guys suck.
Sorry.
Right back at you.
Okay, so there's one author next to Clamp that I also really, really want to point out because she does absolutely amazing work, and that is Arina Tanemura. Now, Arina Tanemura is in the shoujo community. It's a very, very well-known name. She did, amongst others, Full Moon, that we have known before. She has done Sakura Hime. And then the one that she's most well-known for is Kamikaze Kaito Jan, or Phantom Thief Jan, depending. A few others that are also really good. Gentleman's Cross Alliance, I really like. What else has she done? Mistress Fortune was also really good. And that's all I can think of for the moment.
Oh, she did the classic Idolish 7. Wow.
Yes, she did Idolish 7.
Wow.
Others?
Epic.
Yes.
I feel some sarcasm.
So one of the things is that...
What are you talking about?
One of the things about Arina Tanemura is all of her stories are very mature. So they definitely shoujo, but I would never give them to a 10-year-old or even 12-year-old. Except maybe for Full Moon. Because they how do I put this? I'm gonna start off with actually I'm gonna give the example of Jeanne. Like we've already talked about Full Moon going into very dark places, right? And being very tragic.
Yeah.
Jeanne is basically... See, the idea behind Jeanne is that she, like, the entire premise is that, you know, she is a servant of God, you know, Shandak, reincarnated, basically. The angel that, you know, like, the little mascot character is literally an angel sent to her from God, and she is there to, you know, get rid of demons. And she can only do that so long as she is and stays a virgin. You can probably imagine the kind of problems that come with that, and the message at the end, like, things get completely and utterly flipped on their head, and, like, the message in the end, well, what Jeanne does in the end, she's like, fuck you, my virginity has nothing to do with my worth, ends up having sex, and then solves all of the problems, because, you know, she is still herself, and she doesn't change. Her worth doesn't change. Her value doesn't change just because, you know, she has slept with a person that she genuinely loves.
Mm-hmm.
Which in Japanese society is kind of a big thing. True. So she has all of these, you know, like very heavy social commentary things that you don't really see much of in anime, as we have talked before. It's really not so much about, you know, her trying to change the status quo, or like her characters changing the status quo, but quite often she has characters suffering from the status quo in one way or another, defying them, purposefully so, defying them, and being in the right for it. Not going out to change the status quo, because if it works for others, then fine, but for herself deciding that she doesn't like it, so she's not going to live by it, it doesn't work for her, and that's okay, it's the right decision to make, usually. And in that way, it's very mature, because, the things that do hold women down, they have to be at an age where they can decide these things for themselves, and by the time you are at that age, the things that women have to deal with are not exactly innocent in many cases. So you have that in Full Moon, you have that in Jeanne, you have that in Sakura, Sakura Hime, not Card Captor. You have that in like a lot of her work. That is a very in most of her words, that's like a what is the word I'm looking for here? A very a prominent feature. So, which is amazing, right? Because it's as empowering. All of her works are so empowering for women in the best possible way, and it goes like deep into the love story, deep into the shoujo tropes, without falling into the pitfalls and the type of social sexism that a lot of like general shoujo manga fall into, because a lot of them are just it's all about love, it's all about finding a boyfriend, getting like the main motivation for a lot of girls in manga is finding a boyfriend. All of these girls find boyfriends, most of them find boyfriends, but first of all, it's not their main issue. Second of all, they go through a lot of ordeal before them, after them, with them. It's just kind of an aspect of life, and none of these girls' lives is it the main thing. It's just something that's kind of there, and it shows that if love comes to you, that's fine, but you are worth more than just your relationship with a man. They all are, each and every single one of them, and I think that's kind of important. They're all really good. Like Arina Tanemura is definitely like an author that should be heralded and talked about more, not just in the shoujo community, but like just in general.
Well, with that message, though, I think we should kind of just wrap it up with a good 2 hours and 8 minutes.
Do we want a closing word from anyone?
Pory, do you have a closing word?
Not really.
Speedy, do you have a closing word?
I'm notoriously bad at ending these things. Like,
not ending, just a closing word, like a last statement.
A last statement. I could make like a promise where it's like, I might just watch some more shoujo in the future. But,
you absolutely should.
Yeah, but I'm not going to. I know myself well enough. I'm not going to.
You know what? I'm just going to be putting a whole bunch of shoujo in like the list that you have for me from now on. When are we going to update that, by the way?
I've kind of just jumped off of that in the first place.
Oh, like, goodness gracious! Why am I not surprised?
I'm barely even watching anime by myself. I'm just group watching it at this point.
I guess we're all getting a little burned out on anime these days.
Sucks.
Yeah, anime is just bad. That's the closing statement. Yeah.
Anime is dog shit. Okay.
Anime is bad, and you should feel bad. Bye.
Very aggressive.
Very aggressive, yeah.
I was expecting buys here. Oh, fuck. Perfect ending to the episode.
Okay, my ending. Watch more shoujo. Talk more about shoujo. It's kind of important. It's an important genre. Stop ignoring it just because it doesn't have any flashy fights.
It's not a genre. That's bad.
Fine, it's a demographic. It's their anime teeter towards half of the world's population, or at least half of Japan's population. So watch more of it.
I'm pretty sure there are more women in the world than men, actually. So it's more than that.
I think that's like 51% of women.
Yeah, it's 51
right?
Sure.
Approximately half of them. Who cares? Let's not be semantic here.
Yep, a beautiful message.
Yep. Wonderful.
Yep.
So, Speedy, Pory, are you going to be watching more shoujo from now on?
I'm going to be watching. I mean, I watch shoujo anyway, so yeah. I mean,
Alrighty. So now we can have a big bye. Can we have a big bye on 3?
Bye.
I didn't even say
Bye
one
on
yet.
3.
Bye.
1,
You
2,
wanted.
3. Bye.
Bye.
I
You
agree.
wanted less rigidity in the start, and now you enter so much rigidity at the end. This isn't
But it's
you.
human.
Who
It's
took
human.
who took over there? Who took over? You're not Shayla. I don't recognize you.
It was my topic to begin
Bye.
with. Bye bye.
Okay, save.